Hello. Good evening. Good evening. It's another Monday. How are you? I hope you had a nice weekend. I had a very restful one. Thank God for another beautiful week. Well, we are here again today, as usual, on a talk show. Let's share it. And today is our episode 10. How time flies so quickly. Well, because of those of you who are joining me for the first time, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Listening Ears. I'm Tony Ogunbanjo, and I'm here on behalf of our charity, Listening Ears. Listening Ears is an award-winning charity that has been operating in the Royal Borough of Greenwich since 2006. That's 14 years this year we clocked, still counting by His grace. And we thank God for how many lives the Lord has enabled us to touch within the space of that 14 years. Generally, we provide emotional health and lifestyle support service to people in the community. And in the space of that 14 years, what we do ordinarily is we try to be sensitive to the needs that are in our community. So we look at such needs and then we set up programs or projects to minister to those needs or to meet them. So within that space of the 14 years, we've set up about 5 different projects that we run. And the first one is the Rosebud Center for Girls, which is a project that supports girls from the ages of 7 to 19. And the vision of that project is to be there, give a space to girls just to be girls, and then we can hold their hands and support them on that long journey to adolescence, to womanhood. We give them an opportunity to find their expression, which they do in different kinds of ways. So we provide trainings and workshops predominantly to help them to build their confidence and to help them on that journey. So whatever catches their fancy outside of their academics, we run different workshops. We do workshops around jewelry making, fashion design. We do things around music, around dancing, cookery, and different kinds of stuff, really. You see, our focus is that by the time the girls want to answer that word woman, they are actually ready psychologically, emotionally, domestically, and academically, just in different ways, and socially as well. So we give them that space where they can be girls and we can talk about girly things. And then on that journey, we give them the necessary support. We run it's a full-time center. We run the workshops every day, pre-COVID. But since COVID started, the workshops have continued to run online. So if you have any girl under 19 and you want them to join our workshops, you can go on our website, rosebudcenter.org. You can download the application form there and you can fill it, and then one of the staff will get in touch with you. If you fill it and email it back to us, email it to rosebudcenter@gmail.com. Somebody will get back to you and register your daughter after we have done due diligence, because we want to safeguard our girls. We want to talk to the parents. We want to make sure they're actually the one who they say they are on the form, because in these days of all sorts of things happening on the internet, we are not going to take any chances at all. So you can go on the Rosebud website, rosebudcenter.org, download the application form, fill it, email it back to us, and somebody will get in touch with you. The other projects we run, we have 3 projects that we run to support the elderly in our community. And the focus is to reduce the alarming level of isolation among the elderly people and the over 50s. To meet that need, we run 3 projects in the community. There are 2 drop-in centers we have, which is called Feel Good Centers. One is in Abewood, which runs on Friday. That has been running now for 11 years. You heard me right. That started on April 9, 2009. So it's still running up till now, pre-COVID. And the second one is running in Thamesmead. We partner with the Peabody to support the people around that vicinity. And that runs on a Wednesday. And since the COVID, we have been able to empower all our elderly people, believe it or not. They all come online now on Zoom every week, twice in a week. They come online on Wednesdays and on Fridays. We do everything we have been doing at the center before COVID. Shame on COVID. Before COVID was, everything we do, they still, have a chat, they have a laugh, we do our exercise, they interact even though it is virtually, but then it's just better than just being on their own. But the interesting thing is that in spite of their ages, they have been able to get on with the times and, been able to conquer all the challenges of technology, and they are online. It's been a lot of work. I mean, trust me, each time I make a phone call to try to put them through how they are going to be able to come on Zoom, and I don't think I'm a good teacher at all. So it's been very challenging. But thank God we got through it. They all come online now. So if you have anybody at home or your neighbor or your friend who is 50 years or above and they like to socialize, they like to make new friends, please check out on our website, listeningears.org, or you can send an email to help@listeningears.org, or you send one to feelgoodcenters@gmail.com. Somebody will definitely get back to you. And then we can put them on board, and then they can start to enjoy the exercise with us on Wednesdays and Fridays. They do a lot of dancing, they just keep it moving. They say if you don't use it, you lose it. And we don't want any of our elderly people to lose any of their limbs. So we keep it working every week, twice in a week. And we've been blessed actually, because I like to use this opportunity to say a shout out to Annington Limited, our corporate sponsor, who blessed us with a minibus last year. So because of that minibus, we've been able to even continue our buffet with our elderly people, because pre-COVID, once every month, we give them a hot lunch, which is a buffet. So because we have the opportunity of the minibus, we have continued to offer that service, and we've been blessed. We had one caterer in July who supplied us food for everybody. So the minibus went around each of their houses to deliver. And the same thing in June. And I'm very hopeful. I really trust God that this September again, we will give them another buffet, God willing. So if you are out there and you want to give us some support, we'll appreciate your support, because we are a charity. All our services are run free of charge. So we depend on writing applications to secure fundings from trusts and foundations, and from very wonderful, generous people like you out there, because we have quite a handful of people we refer to as partners who give us donations every month. They give us as little as £5 a month, which is fine, but they've been doing that consistently. And I like to use this opportunity to say a very big thank you to all our partners who have been supporting us since the inception of Listeners. We have some partners who have been our partners for upwards of 4 or 5 years, and they've been diligently and faithfully giving us that donation every month, which is why we've still been able to remain in service. I don't want to say in business. Yes. So the third project we run for the elderly people is the one we call Community Angels, which is actually an outreach and a befriending scheme, because we started to have clients who became too frail to come to the drop-in center, and they are still isolated and they need our support. So we recruit volunteers, DBS check them, and then we partner them with each of the service users. So the volunteer will go to visit the service user at least once in a week, spend an hour with them, have a chat, have a laugh. Whatever the two of them decide to do with their 1 hour is fine by us. But it's just about finding somebody to knock their door and to say, hello there, how are you doing? So that is what we do with that. And of course, we have our pet project, Let's Share It, which is our talk show. Because you see, the vision of Listening As, if you look on our website, the slogan is sharing the burden and achieving positive changes. So we believe that a problem shared is already half solved. So that's why we set up this program, this talk show, so that I can come online, we can exchange ideas, information that I have, I can give to you, and you can also give me your information that you have that can help other people. I can answer all your questions because from experience, I know that when one person is asking a question in the community, trust me, when an answer is provided, you are probably answering 100 other people who are asking the same question or who have the same question in mind, but for one reason or the other, they probably haven't had an opportunity to ask the question, or they haven't gotten the space. So when somebody asks a question and we give them an answer, we are definitely indirectly answering questions of so many other people. So feel free today you can type in your question on the chat box. I'm live on YouTube, I'm live on Facebook. You can type in your questions and then we can share it. You can share knowledge. Like I always say, I'm not a custodian of knowledge. I only do some research, and then when I do the research and I couple it with the experience that I have professionally, because I'm a counselor and also I'm a health and lifestyle consultant. So I'm not a doctor and I'm not a nurse, but I can help you around your well-being, about how you can enjoy improved total well-being. That is my area of specialization. And a lot of all our discussions on this platform will center on that. Of course, it could also, because in my counseling experience, I work a lot. I enjoy working and supporting people around relationship problems. So if there are challenges that you are experiencing, you can always type in your question. We will respect your privacy. I wouldn't mention anybody's name, and we don't encourage you to mention people's names as well, because we want to keep your privacy. Yeah, so let's get on with it today. Today is our episode 10. I can't believe we've already done 9 episodes. So if you have missed the previous episodes, why don't you go on the Listening Ears YouTube channel? If you go to youtube.com/Listening Ears Charity, then that takes you to our YouTube channel and you can watch the previous episodes. And then if you still have any questions on the previous ones we have done, feel free to ask questions. Last week, we've been, for a couple of weeks now, we've been talking about our total well-being. We've talked about how to maintain a healthy weight. We've talked about the benefits of exercise. And we've talked about things around that area. And last week, I mentioned, while we were talking last week, that there is something we call intermittent fasting as part of the ways with which people can maintain a healthy weight. You see, generally speaking, I don't like talking about weight loss or weight programs, but I like talking about attaining and maintaining a healthy and balanced weight. So that came up last week. That's what we were talking about. And then I promised you that I was going to take, because intermittent fasting, when I was doing my research, I came across that as some form of program that has become really popular now that people use. But I discovered there was so much about it. So I thought I didn't want to digress from my topic last week. I didn't want to lose focus. And then I promised you that this week I will make sure we will talk about intermittent fasting as a topic. And that is what we are talking about today, intermittent fasting. Well, intermittent fasting, like I said to you last week, is a very wide topic, and we will go through it today. It's a type of fasting that is very popular now within the health and fitness circles. It is an eating pattern in which people cycle between periods of eating and fasting. Generally, people use this program to lose weight or to improve their health or to simplify their lifestyles. Many studies show that it can have powerful effects on our body and on our brain, and it may even help us to live longer. Can you imagine? Those are the things I found out because I had to keep digging and looking for information, because I always want to make sure whatever information come around here to give you is authentic. So I make sure I go around very well and check my information, and a lot of the information I'm giving you today are quite authentic because I got them from the National Institute of Health. So they are information that you can trust. Having said that, I'm open for us to discuss a few things that you probably don't understand or you want me to give you more clarity on it. And let me say beforehand, like I've said, I am not an expert. I'm just trying to download the little experience that God has enabled me to acquire over the years of working in the community. So it may not be all your questions I will have immediate answers to, but I can promise you one thing: if you ask me any question and I don't have an immediate answer for you, I definitely will go back to my research board and then get all the answers and bring it for you for next episode, if that's fine. So let's keep cracking. Now, short-term studies suggest that intermittent fasting is as effective as weight loss. It's as effective for weight loss as continuous calorie restriction. You see, when we talk about this calorie restriction, it's a very complicated thing. And for me, I like simple things. People who know me, they know that my middle name is Simplicity. I don't like things when they are too complicated, because sometimes it is particularly when you are talking about achieving a change. You see, because like I said in one of our previous episodes, change is one of the very difficult things to do in life. And to actually achieve change, you need a lot of help. Change is never anything you can do for yourself. You need somebody to hold you accountable for things that you have promised. So when I work with people one-on-one, by the way, let me just quickly mention that there is a service you can have one-to-one support if you want to, in terms of improving your well-being. You can have one-to-one support. So if you want to do something like that, you can send me an email or you can give me a phone call. So like I was saying, I like to keep things simple. I don't like complicated things. Additionally, intermittent fasting may also reduce loss of muscle mass, typically associated with low-calorie diets, which can be more complicated for people to handle. And unlike most diet patterns, it doesn't specify which foods you will eat, but rather when you should eat them. So you see how simple that is. It's not about what. So that means you have the freedom to eat a variety of food as long as they are healthy. I need to put that clause. Not that you can go to McDonald's or you can eat all sorts of junk. You have the freedom to, because all these so-called yo-yo diets, a lot of diets that people do, they give them all sorts of rules and regulations. You must do this, you must not do that, you must eat this, you must not eat that. That the thing becomes so complicated. And unfortunately, most of the time, people who want to lose weight, a lot of times they are desperate. So because they are desperate, when they tell them all sorts of conditions and this and that, they think, you know what, maybe I'll be able to manage. And then they start. But unfortunately, you see, it's so difficult to, this body is so difficult to, you can only press it and push it and break it for so long. After some time, the body will be like, hello, please, this is just too much for me. So a lot of times it's difficult for people to see through those programs. That's why I think it is important for us to share a lot of ideas here. Seriously speaking, trust me, losing weight or achieving a healthy weight can be achieved stresslessly if you get the right information, if you utilize the right approach, and if you get the right support, which we're happy to give you at Listening Ears and in my own time as a consultant for you. So in this respect, it's not a diet in the conventional sense, but it can be more accurately described as an eating pattern. And this is the reason I'm interested in talking about it. You see, because it is simple. It's not complicated. There are no long rules and regulations that you have to follow before you can do it. And in the course of my research, I discovered that fasting has been a practice throughout human evolution. In fact, in the ancient times, there were no supermarkets or refrigerators. So people would eat whatever they were able to get all year round. If there are times there was no food, they just get on with it and go without food, and that's it. So it's been a practice that is as old as ancient. So because of this, it was very natural for them to get used to functioning for extended periods of time, even without food. As a matter of fact, some of my findings reason that it was actually more natural to fast from time to time as opposed to eating to three or four times every day. And I actually find that very interesting. So again, different kinds of fasting is also practiced or carried out either for religious reasons or spiritual reasons. So by and large, fasting is not a bad thing and it's not an unusual thing. It's just a very natural course of nature if we see it like that. Because you see, even our mental setting with whatever we want to do is so crucial, is important, so that once we have the right setting, the right mindset, it will inform how we will go through even things that we want to do. Because once our mindset is not right, that's where the complication starts, and there might be a lot of problems along that journey. So there are different methods of intermittent fasting. Today, I have done my research on 3 different methods. I don't know how many of them time will allow us to do, but if we are able to do at least 1 or 2, then we can do the third one next week. But at least I was able to do, I think somebody should clap for me. I did a lot of research over the week. So I got, quite a lot of information over 3 different types of intermittent fasting. So let's get cracking with the first one. Now, the first one is the one that is the common one, the most common one, and it's usually a 16-hour fast or fasting for 24 hours per week, twice per week. So that first one is called 16-8 method, 16/8 method, and it is also called the lean gains protocol for some people. So different people call it different names, but this involves keeping your breakfast and restricting your daily eating period to 8 hours, such as either 1 to 9, for example, and then you fast for 16 hours in between. That is one type. The second type is the one that is called eat, stop, eat. When I saw that, honestly, I couldn't help but laugh. I thought, eat, stop, eat. That's a very interesting one. And honestly, it actually means what it says the name is, eat, stop, eat. And it involves fasting for 24 hours, once or twice in a week. For example, by not eating from dinner one day unto dinner the second day. You see, they are very simple things. They are not complicated at all. I try to shop around, do a lot of research to find things that I was going to present to you that are very simple, that anybody can do. You know what they say, all these things that say something for dummies, computer for dummies, technology for dummies, typing for all sorts of. I just decided, you know what, I'm going to look for something that no matter that will be convenient for. I just want to pick the right words. I'm always very careful about the words. I try to pick my words very, carefully. So no matter how, even if you are a lazy person, and I don't say that with disrespect. What I mean is, if you are the type who is just, there are some people that are just lazy. I'm also lazy at doing certain things. Some people are just lazy at taking certain decisions. So even if you are that kind of person, I made sure I looked for things that were so simple, systems that were simple, that you just take almost not much of your effort. You just take your determination and your consistency and your commitment, and then you'll be able to get the appropriate result that you deserve. And the third one I found out about is called the 5-2 diet. 5-2. And with this method, you consume 500 to 600 calories on 2 non-consecutive days of the week, but then you eat normally the other 5 days. That looks a little bit, well, I wouldn't say complicated, but it's just it's kind of long-winded. But then it is what it is. But you consume only 500 to 600 calories. You see, for me personally, and this is just my thinking, it doesn't have to be yours. But you see, I believe I still have some right to whatever I think. They don't have to be correct by your own standard or your assessment. But for me, generally speaking, with all the years I have tried to work with people around achieving total well-being, I have discovered that the simpler your strategy is, the easier for your clients. So I don't like complicated things. And part of the complicated things that I don't like is this issue of counting calorie stuff. Because for me, I just think sometimes it is just not practicable. Because you see, a lot of time, look at how many times you want to, okay, let me just ask a simple question. How many times do you want to eat? And you start down, by the time you're already sitting at the table, and then you start wondering, oh, let me look into this plate. How many calories is there? How many calories is this chicken? How many calories is the rice? How many calories the carrot? It is just not practicable. Because, okay, okay, for instance now, when I get home now, because I don't want to eat too late in the night before I go to sleep, I'll probably be hungry. When I finish this program at 7, it takes me maybe about 20 minutes to drive to my house. And then when I get home, maybe it takes me about another 45 minutes to prepare my dinner. And by the time I finish, it's already about 8 o'clock-ish or about 8:30. And ordinarily, I like to eat 3 hours before I go to sleep. So is it after doing all that that I'll start counting how many calories? But having said that, well, that is one area of my own laziness, what we are talking about. But there are some people that are very good at it. If you are good at it, by all means, please just go on, go for it. There are some people, they find it as second nature to do things like that. They are very committed people to things. There are some people, they have eye for detail. I have eye for details too, but in some other different areas. But in terms of counting calorie, it is not my big area at all. But those of you that you can do it, please go ahead. And by the time we go through the 3 different types of intermittent fasting, if the 5-2 is the one that you like, and you think you can take your time to count your calories and make sure you don't take more than 500 or 600, that's fine. Then you can just go ahead and do it. But generally speaking, by reducing your calorie intake, all of these methods, they should cause weight loss. That means they should enable you to shed unnecessary weight, as long as you don't compensate by eating much more during the eating periods. With the 3 of them that I have explained, the 3 of them have your eating period and they have your fasting period. And let me say something that is funny now. There are some people, I remember when we were younger, when we were in school, if some people say that they are fasting, then we fast quite all right. The typical fasting, you fast for morning, you don't eat anything, maybe till about, for instance, you can decide you want to fast till maybe 3 o'clock. If some people do 12, some people do 3, some people do 6. Now, I know people, I have friends, when they do their fasting up to 3 o'clock, they are supposed to have fasted from the morning till 3, which is fine. I mean, they wake up in the morning, they don't eat anything. They just they drink water. Of course, water is allowed when you are fasting, because otherwise you'll be terribly dehydrated. So let me just quickly sound that now. Sometimes I'm sorry, sometimes when I digress, but I think because it's a sharing, I don't want there to be too much seriousness about this program. I want us to be relaxed. So when certain things cross my mind, even if it is not part of what exactly we are talking about, please, I'll crave your indulgence to just talk about it, because at that particular time, if there is something that we can benefit from it, I'd rather just share it. So back to my funny story. So my friends, when they do I actually have a friend who typically does that. So when she does her fasting till 3 o'clock, now when she wants to break at 3 o'clock, oh my goodness, you need to see her plate. The breakfast, particularly on the day she wants to break at 6 o'clock in the evening. So she will kind of put together what she didn't eat in the morning and what she didn't eat in the afternoon, and then pile everything together and eat it all up in the evening. So she ends up, probably, I'm sure if you were to calculate those calories, she'll probably be taking about 4,000 or 5,000 calories when everything you are allowed in a day is 2,000 calories. So why I'm saying that is that I just said that by reducing your calorie intake, all of the methods, they will make you lose weight, provided you don't compensate by eating too much during your eating periods. So that's what I just wanted to point out in that place. Now, let's now go to the details of how the three different types of intermittent fasting work. The first one is the type 1, which is the 16-8 plan. Many people find the 16-8 method to be the simplest. Some of them find it most sustainable and easiest to stick to. And it is also the most popular, because I checked out the popularity, I checked out what are people's reviews, what are the comments. I told you I did a lot of research. I said somebody should clap for me for because I want to make sure that I give you fully loaded information. Anyway, so from the reviews that I saw, they said the 16-8 plan is the most popular. The suggested benefits of the 16-8 plan include weight loss and fat loss, as well as the prevention of type 2 diabetes. Isn't that interesting? I found that really interesting when I discovered it, and other obesity associated conditions. It is a form of time restricted fasting because it involves consuming foods during an 8-hour window and avoiding food or fasting for the remaining 16 hours of each day. So what that means is that on a daily basis, that's what you do. You have your 8-hour window where you can eat, and then you have the 16-hour window where you can't eat anything. Some people believe that this method works well by supporting the body's internal clock rhythm. Most people who follow the 16-8 plan, they abstain from food at night and for part of the morning and evening. So they tend to consume all their daily calories during the middle of the day. So I have 3 suggestions of time for you, but like I said, it is up to you. Whatever I'm going to give you on this platform are just going to be suggestions. So it's going to be up to you at the end of this, it's going to be down to you, at the end of the day, what do you want to do? But then, like I said, if you have, okay, so somebody is asking a question. The 16-8 fasting, I mean, how long is it for? Yeah, that one, I'm just going through that now. So don't worry, don't be in a hurry. Yeah, I'll give you the answer. I'm just going through that now. So I'm going to suggest 3 different times that you can pick whichever one is most convenient for you to do the 16-8 one, the one that you have to. I want us to have a very proper understanding. That one means you will have an 8-hour window of eating and a 16-hour window of fasting. I just want us to understand that that is the principle of the first type. So I want to give you a suggestion of 3 different windows that you can use. You can decide to pick 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can decide to pick 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Excuse me. Or you can decide to pick 12 noon. Excuse me. Sorry, I like to take some water. Yeah. Yes, you can take 12 o'clock to 8 o'clock, which is midday to 8 p.m. So the suggestions I have made now will be your 8-hour window of eating. So the remaining 16 hours will be of fasting. So that means if you took the 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., that means once you finish eating at 5 p.m., you can't eat anything again until 9 a.m. the following morning. I hope you are understanding. Please, if you have any question, just type it in the chat box so I can re-explain to you. And if you chose the option of the 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., that means once you have eaten at 6, you really can't eat anything until 10 a.m. the following morning. So that makes it really, maybe that's why a lot of people prefer, because it is actually quite simple, very simple, because the better part of the time you are sleeping anyway, and you shouldn't actually be eating when you are sleeping. The only thing I love about this particular 16:8 is that it just gives you discipline, because if one does not have this kind of discipline to follow, there might be the tendency of you know snacking after that 8 o'clock, for instance. For instance, if for whatever reason you have a lot of work that you are doing, and then you are working, and then you are not yet sleeping, so maybe you want to probably snack on, it might be fruits, it might be on. But the thing is, if you are on this kind of fasting type, you cannot snack on anything. The only thing you'll be allowed to do is to take water. So those are my 3 suggestions of time in terms of the 8-hour window of eating. Then within this time frame, people can eat their meals and their snacks at convenient times. Eating regularly is important to prevent blood sugar peaks and dips, and to avoid excessive hunger. And some people may need to experiment to find the best eating window and meal times for their lifestyles. Because you see, like I said, at the end of the day, even if there are a set of twins, it may not be the same thing that will work for both of them. So everybody, because you see, this our body, God has not made two people the same way. Everybody is different. So with anything we want to do, all we're going to do is just take our time to study our body, study ourselves, and study our structure, and study the makeup of whatever constitutes our existence, and find out what is it that is working for me and what is it that is working for you. That is why it is difficult for me on a platform like this to just give you blanket instructions. Even when I am working with people one-on-one on the health and lifestyle change, hardly have I seen two people that I have done the same program for. The programs are bespoke. They are bespoke. I will need to work your program with you according to your body clock, according to your preferences, according to things that is working for you. For instance, some people at a particular time of the day, they can't even eat. So, all different things actually. And then, of course, some people might have some underlying health conditions, because these are all the things we put into consideration when we are kind of working a plan for you around how you can improve your well-being and your lifestyle. So the benefits of how this particular 16:8, how it improves weight loss, how it promotes weight loss and fat loss. I'll give you the benefits now. Eating during a set period can help people to reduce the number of calories that they consume. It may also help to boost their metabolism. There was a research that was carried out on some men in 2016, and the results suggested that an intermittent fasting program in which all calories are consumed in an 8-hour window each day, in conjunction with resistance training, could improve some health-related biomarkers, could also decrease fat mass and maintain muscle mass in resistance-trained males. Because when you are trying to lose weight, it's important to calculate the kind of exercises you do. One of the things I have learned again in the course of my research is that when you are trying to lose weight, you shouldn't just do only running. You should try and do some resistance training. Maybe you lift some little weights. It doesn't have to be the big weights like your mighty eagle, but then it could just be, even it could be just 2 cans, for instance, with the feel good center exercises. For instance, when the exercise teacher is working with our elderly people, the weight they lift might just be 2 cans of baked beans. The big cans of baked beans. I think it's 400 grams or so. So one in this arm, one in the other arm. That's all. If you just keep on using that, it gives some resistance training to your biceps and all that. And then because you need all that, because you see the advantage of that, or the benefit of that from my research, is that if you are doing that, you are not going to lose your muscles. And then when you have lost weight, you wouldn't have saggy skin. But if you are just losing weight, just eating and just reducing your food and just running or doing some other exercises, and you are not doing any kind of resistance training, it may make you to have some saggy flesh in different areas of your body. So that is one thing again. That's another digression, which is not even in what I have put down for today, that I wanted to share with you. But in the course of my usual research, because I'm always researching anyway, I found out that from somewhere, and I think it is helpful if I share it with you. There was another research that was carried out the following year, which is in 2017, and that suggests that intermittent fasting leads to greater weight loss and fat loss in men with obesity rather than regular calorie restriction. You see, so the calorie restriction, you see, apart, and I can guess, even though I don't know why that was that, but I can guess that because of all the complications that is a you know in a that go along with all this calorie counting thingy, it might be difficult sometimes to actually get the best of results. There are no restrictions on the types or amounts of food that a person can eat during the 8-hour window. However, please don't quote me wrong. However, overeating or eating unhealthy foods should be avoided during the 8-hour window. And of course, the flexibility makes this plan relatively easy to follow. Talking about the fact that there is no limit to what you can, there is no restriction about what you can eat. Obviously, you know that the allowance of females in a day is about 2,000 calories, and for men is 3,000. So you go within that. But in terms of the variety of things you can eat, there isn't any restrictions. But you just make sure that you are eating healthily, and then you are not overeating. Because obviously, when you are overeating, you know. And if I should drop another hint again, I'm still researching on that, but I came across an information that if you took maybe like half a bottle of water before, maybe about 30 minutes before food, say about 250 mils of water or 500 mils of water, that it is good for your digestion, and that it actually allows you not to eat too much, because it allows you to be full very easily. I don't know how much that is true. I have just discovered that information, and I'm still trying to do some research on it. When I have done my research and I've satisfied myself and I'm happy with what I have discovered, then I will share it with you officially. But I just heard it, so I can actually give that as homework to you guys who are watching. You can also research on that and check for me what's the benefit of drinking water about 30 minutes or thereabout before your meal. If you want to do that as an assignment, I greatly appreciate it, so that next week when I come online, you can give me what you have found out. Now, there are some side effects and risk about this first type, the 16-8, which is normal with everything in life. There is always some side effects, there is always some benefits and all that. We've spoken about all the benefits. Now, let's also look at the side effects. So like any other thing in life, it may not be the right one for everybody. So you will need to study yourself and the situation of your health and many other considerations before you decide whether it is good for you or it is not. But anytime you are in doubt, what I'm going to advise is that it is safest for you to consult your doctor, particularly if you want to start any lifestyle program that will make significant changes to your current lifestyle. So I want to make myself very clear here, particularly if you have current long-standing health issues. So if you have health issues that you are dealing with, or if the type of fasting program you have decided to embark on to manage your weight is going to make a very significant change to your current lifestyle, then it is important to see your doctor. It is important to get help so that you do it gradually. Because you see, if you just change what your body had been used to, you just change it suddenly overnight, it may be a shock to your system, and then it may not react positively. That is why sometimes when certain people do some things that others are doing and it is working, they can come back and tell you, you know what, I did that thing, it didn't work. And it is not that it didn't work, but because all the kind of parameters or whatever kind of foundations they need to put in place, if they didn't put in place, obviously it may not work. So for instance, if you shock your body, like I said, shocking your body means if you do a drastic change in your lifestyle patterns and your body wasn't prepared for that change, it might be difficult for your body to cope. So it is always good to introduce all these things gradually. You know, like I was trying to support somebody, I was mentioning to somebody who is a young mother. I was saying to her that the person was asking me, well, when should she introduce solid foods to her baby's diet? And I said, well, if she starts to introduce it about 4 months each, but then even then she has to do it gradually, you know, very gradually. You can't just wake up one day and change everything the child is eating. The child may not even be able to go to the toilet, you know. So it is very important when you are making a significant change in your lifestyle pattern, or if you have underlying health issues, please, it is important to speak to your doctor and share with him or her whatever it is you want to start to do, and then they can support you and help you to go through it at a pace that will be agreeable to your system. And then the other potential side effects and risk include hunger, which is normal if one is not used to not eating. For instance, somebody who has been used to there are some people, they just eat all the time. They just keep eating. The only time they are not eating is when they are sleeping. And I say that without disrespect, but that is just them. There is nothing they feel there is nothing they can do about it. But trust me, there is a lot you can do about it. So there could be a potential side effect of risk of weakness. One can be weak. There could be tiredness. And all these ones will be at the beginning stages of the plan. Because you see, the very first day, obviously, because your body is not used to that, it's like if you are doing one of these our weight management programs. There is one we do that is about 9-day program. The first 2 days are the toughest. Once you can get through those first 2 days, the rest will just be walkover. So the first day or second day that your body is just trying out this new regime, it is understandable if your body is kind of not finding it too comfortable, but then you just persevere and then walk through it. And then again, overeating or eating unhealthy foods during the 8-hour eating window due to excessive hunger. So there has to be a lot of discipline here. You need to discipline yourself and make up your mind that this is what I want to do and commit to it. And even if it is tough, maybe you persevere so that you can be able to achieve the result you want to achieve. And then there could be heartburn or reflux as a result of overeating. So that's another thing that you may experience. And even though some research indicates that short-term calorie restriction might relieve depression, there is the school of thought that chronic calorie restriction can have the opposite effect actually. So the 16-8 plan may therefore not be suitable for people with a history of depression and anxiety. So that is another clause. People who have suffered or who are suffering from depression or anxiety, they may not be able to do the 16-8 eating pattern because of the negative effect it might have on their existing condition. But like I said, with all these things, all you need to do is just get support. If you get support, it is easy. Like I said, there is a limit to how much general information I can give everybody. If you now want individual support, you can always get in touch with me, and that is available. So obviously, this type of intermittent fasting is unsuitable for those who are pregnant and those who are breastfeeding or those who are trying to conceive. Then for the older adults, there is currently insufficient evidence to recommend any of the varieties of the intermittent fasting. So for that area, I am still doing some research. When I finish the research on that, then I'll get back to you with my information. Now, talking about diabetes, while the evidence indicates that the 16-8 method may be helpful for diabetes prevention, actually the research I did said it might not be suitable for those who already are battling with diabetes. So it's very funny. So if you don't have it, for instance, if the person is what they call pre-diabetes, it may be okay for them. But if they already have it, so the intermittent fasting diet is not suitable for those with type 1 diabetes at all. However, some people with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes may be able to try the plan under a doctor's supervision or with other kind of support, because this means they are making significant changes to their eating habits. And like I said before, it's not going to be a big deal, but it's about just working with you to make sure that the changes you want to make, they are very gradual. That is not something that is too drastic, because if it is drastic, it's going to be very difficult for your body to be able to absorb what you are doing and all those changes in the body. Now, in summary, the 16-8 intermittent fasting is a very popular form of fasting, and potential benefits, they include weight loss, they include fat loss, and they also include a reduction in the risk of some diseases. In fact, one of the research I did, there was a place I found some information that even some of this might even make us live longer. There is also a place I understand it can even benefit our brains and our thinking and so many other things. It's so interesting, and this plan may also be easier to follow than other types of fasting, because people doing the intermittent 16-8 fasting, they should focus on eating high fiber, whole foods, and they should stay hydrated throughout the day. Actually, I cannot express that any more than that you should stay hydrated throughout the day, because it is so crucial to take enough water during the day. That I think in the first or second episode we did a little touching on the benefits of water, and I cannot express that enough. It is so important to keep hydrated. Drinking water is good for your digestive system, is good for your skin, is good for your hair, is good for your nails. The majority of our body composition is made of water. So that is why when people are dehydrated, it's a very terrible thing. Once they get to the hospital, the first thing they do is pass tips on them. So it is very important to take enough water, particularly when you say you are fasting, so that because the water will flush your system, and then you'll be able to digest all everything that you have eaten. You'll be able to digest them very easily. So that is the type 1, which is the 16-8 type of intermittent fasting. And to be honest with you, I'm not really too surprised that our time has gone so quickly, but I wanted to make sure I get down all the information that I have given you, and I find out things that are quite authentic and full information, so that whatever you decide to do, you are well informed about doing it. Because we have only 5 minutes left, so I don't think it's worth my while starting the type 2 one, but the type 2 one is the 24-hour plan, which is the eat, stop, and eat, which is quite interesting. That's the one I said I found it very interesting when I saw the name. Eat, stop, eat. It's the 24-hour one where you're allowed to eat something every day. So that one, like if you had your dinner tonight, you can, you won't eat anything again, and then you can have your dinner again tomorrow. It is also quite straightforward, but the full details of that, I will go into that one next week. And then the third one, so the second and the third one, we will treat it. I will give you the full details next week. The second one is the eat, stop, eat. And then the third one is the 5-2 plan, which means for 5 days a week, you eat normally and you don't have to think about restricting your calories. And then on the other 2 days, you reduce your calories to about 500 or 600. 500 for women, actually, and 600 for men. So those are the two we are going to look into next week, because our time is far gone today. I've told you, I've promised you since the inception of this program that I'm not going to take your time more than 1 hour. And I'll just use this opportunity again to, because of those who tuned in late, to inform you that all the workshops of our charity listening ears, they are running online. For the Rosebud Center for Girls, our workshops are running online on Zoom. So if you have any girl that is under the age of 19, between 7 and 19, you can go on our website, rosebudcenter.org, and you can download the application form there. You can fill it up and then email it back to rosebudcenter@gmail.com, and one of the members of my team will get in touch with you, and then we can register either your daughter or your niece or your granddaughter or any, maybe your sister. And for our projects we run for the elderly people, our drop-in sessions also are running on Zoom. The Feel Good Centers, they are running on Zoom. Feel Good Center on Wednesday and on Friday from 12 o'clock. We have our fun, we have our exercise, we do some dancing. We just have fun, basically. The only difference, to be honest with you, from before Corona and now, is that they are not physically hugging and touching each other. But every other thing we do, we're enjoying it online. We're even having our buffet. We have our buffet. The driver takes the food to the individual service users' houses once in a month, which is brilliant. So if you have anybody, maybe a neighbor, your auntie, your mother, your grandmother, that's 50 years and above, and you think they like to do with some, engaging with new friends, they can come online. You can send an email to help@listeningears.org, or you send it to feelgoodcenters@gmail.com, and you can always you will always get somebody to call you back. And then I like to appeal again that we are still looking for volunteers to support us in the work we are doing at our charity. And then, of course, we are still trusting God for more partners. We need more partners. A partner is somebody who commits to giving us donation on a regular basis every month. You sign up with your direct debit. As little as £5 is hugely appreciated by us. Whatever you want to give us, as long as you give it, consistently every month, we'll appreciate it. And if you have £1 million to give us, I am not going to say no. Trust me. So until next week, I'd like to say good night and take good care of yourself and each other. And I'll see you next week at 6 o'clock on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for listening to me today, and have a very lovely evening. Bye.